What is up, everybody, and welcome to Scott's Swinging Sports Today. Ladies and gentlemen, I am back with my dad today. Sorry it's a little bit of a late upload this week. I'm going to have no time to do it tomorrow, so we got to do it right now. So let's get into those picks right now. First game out tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, Fox Sports 1. It will be number 10 Utah going on the road to LA to take on Clay Helton and USC. I will take Utah to get a win on the road at USC. Should be no problems this week. My Pac-12, the team that I picked to possibly win the Pac-12 this year, give me Utah on the road to get a win against USC.
I agree, Scott. I think Utah is a real deal. I think Utah also is going to win the Pac-12. I take Utah to win by 2 touchdowns in this game.
Next up, Air Force and Boise on the Smurf turf. 3 straight weeks of home games for Boise. I will take Boise State at home to find a way to get a win at home on the blue turf against Air Force.
I'd love to pick Air Force in this game because it benefits UCF, but unfortunately I've got to take Boise at home. They are really tough at home.
Next up, number 9 Florida hosting Tennessee in the Swamp on Saturday night. It'll be a noon kickoff. One of the weird games of the weekend. I will take Florida to win, but they may not cover. I'll take Florida to win and potentially cover the 14. I'll take Florida at home over Tennessee.
I think Florida's going to win this game. I don't think they'll cover the 14. I think they'll probably win by about 10. I'm going to take Florida at home.
Next up, Southern Miss heading in to Tuscaloosa to take on Nick Saban in Alabama.
Tough game to pick.
I will take Alabama to get a win here over Southern Miss. No problems here. Give me Alabama at home to get a win in Tuscaloosa against Southern Miss.
One word, Alabama.
Next up, it will be number 4 LSU heading in to Nashville, Tennessee to take on Vandy. I will take Joe Burrow and LSU to get a win on the road at Vandy. That's going to be an 0-3 start for Derek Mason and Vanderbilt this year. I will take LSU on the road to get a win in Nashville against Vandy.
LSU's a real deal. I think they're going to go into Vanderbilt and beat them by at least 2 touchdowns.
Next up, number 23 Cal, who's ranked after a big win a couple weeks ago against Washington, as they head in to Oxford to take on Ole Miss. I will take Cal on the road to get a win here against Ole Miss.
And I'm going to pick the upset. I'm going to say Ole Miss in the SEC is going to be Cal. Traveling from west to east, I think Ole Miss is going to get the win.
Next up, probably one of the biggest games of the weekend. I probably will not get to see a lot of this game because I'll be at area for softball on Saturday, as it will be number 11 Michigan heading into Madison and Wisconsin to take on the number 13 ranked Badgers. There's one thing that I know in life, and that is that Jim Harbaugh pushes his team hard after an embarrassing week the week before. They barely beat Army a couple of weeks ago. Army a couple weeks ago. So I think Jim Harbaugh's been on them the last 2 weeks, and I think that's going to give them enough momentum this week. Give me Michigan on the road to upset Wisconsin.
I like Wisconsin here. I think Wisconsin is underrated actually at 13, and I think Michigan's overrated. I think Wisconsin wins this one by a touchdown.
Next up, Miami, Ohio, and Ohio State in the Horseshoe on Saturday. I will go with Ohio State at home in the Horseshoe. Should be no problems this week. I will take Ohio State at home over Miami, Ohio.
I agree with Scott. Ohio State will roll.
Next up, UCF and Pitt.
Woo! Nice!
UCF favored by 11 points this week. Probably the easiest gimme of the week. Give me UCF on the road at Pitt at Heinz Field. We'll win this game by 11. We'll be up by at least by 11 at the end of the first quarter. I'll take UCF to win this game by like 21 to 28 points this week. I'll take UCF on the road to get a win against Pitt.
I'm definitely going to pick UCF. I'm not as confident as Scott is in terms of the point spread. I mean, UCF lost to Penn State by 7 on the road last week. I know there was rain involved, but still, I don't think that UCF is going to beat them that badly, but I do think UCF will win.
Next up, number 22, Washington heading in to Utah to take on BYU. I will take Washington on the road. Jacob Eason will play better this week. Give me Washington on the road to get a win against BYU.
I'm going to take the upset here. I'm going to take BYU at home. I think BYU upset USC last week. I think they're going to get that run of upsets to 2 weeks in a row.
Next up, Old Dominion going in to Virginia to take on the Virginia Cavaliers, coming off a very good win last week against Florida State. I will take Virginia at home. They've learned their lesson from their old brother to the South, Virginia Tech, last year, who lost to Old Dominion last year. I'll take Virginia to get some revenge for the state of Virginia and get a win against Old Dominion.
I agree. I think Virginia's a more quality program. They beat Old Dominion by by at least 2 touchdowns.
Next up, number 16 Oregon heading in to Palo Alto to take on Stanford. I'll take Justin Herbert and the Road Ducks to get a win on the road against KJ Costello and Stanford.
Stanford did not look good last week. I think Oregon goes in there and beats them pretty bad.
Next up, number 1 Clemson heading in at home to take on the Charlotte 49ers. I will take Clemson at
tough
home
game.
to get a win over Charlotte this weekend.
I didn't know Charlotte had a football team, so based on that, I'm definitely going to take Clemson.
They might be the best team in the state, honestly. With how bad the Panthers are looking.
Yeah, there you go.
Next up, in Austin, number 13 Texas is hosting Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy. I will take Sam Ehlinger and Texas to bounce back after a heartbreaker a few weeks ago at home against LSU. And they bounce back this week. Primetime TV, 7:30 on ABC. I will take Texas at home to get a win and finally beat Oklahoma State this year. Texas beats Oklahoma State.
This is based upon the quality of the coach's hair. I would definitely take Oklahoma State, but Texas, unfortunately, it's based upon the quality of the football, so Texas gets a win here pretty big.
Next up, College Game Day will be there Saturday morning, as it will be number 7 Notre Dame heading into Athens to take on number 3 Georgia. My prediction for the College Game Day guest picker this week is probably going to be Luke Bryan, probably. He's a Georgia fan, so I feel like it could be him. I will go with the home Georgia Bulldogs to get a win over Notre Dame. Notre Dame's ranked in the hundreds against the rush. That's not going to help them out this week. I'll take Georgia at home with the running game to get it done against Notre Dame.
Pretty much every time Notre Dame goes against one of the marquee SEC teams, they get whooped. I think Georgia's going to beat them by at least 10 points.
Georgia only beat them by 1 the last time.
Good point. Good point. I still stick by 10
Yep.
points, though.
Yep.
Even though Scott
next
made a good point.
Next up, Colorado heading into Tempe and Arizona to take on Herm Edwards and the undefeated Arizona State Sun Devils coming after a big win last week against Michigan State. Give me the Sun Devils to get another win here. I'll take ASU at home in Tempe. It's a tough place to play. I'll take Arizona State to get a win against Colorado.
I agree, but I think it's going to be a really close game. I think Arizona State's going to be kind of coming off the high of that win against Michigan State, and I think Colorado's a good team. So I think Arizona State will win, but it'll be a field goal game.
Next up, Chip Kelly and UCLA heading in to Washington State to take on the Cougs. I will take Mike Leach and Washington State to get a win over Chip Kelly and UCLA.
I got to say, I'm pretty happy that Florida did not hire Chip Kelly. That's not looking like a good hire by UCLA. I agree, Washington State gets a win here.
And if I missed any picks this week, I'll leave them in the comment section. If I missed one, I might have. But I'll leave those in the comment section after this video. Now into the NFL picks for the weekend. Right now, the Titans are losing 14-0 over the Jags. I actually did pick the Titans in this game. So let's move into the NFL games for Sunday, as it will be Andy Dalton and the winless Bengals heading into Buffalo to take on Josh Allen and the undefeated Buffalo Bills. I will take Josh Allen and the Bills to get a win at home over Andy Dalton and the Bengals.
Man, the Bills have the easiest early schedule of any NFL team, probably. The fact that they're probably going to go 3-0 is pretty amazing. I like the Bills in this one.
Next up, the Miami Dolphins heading into Dallas to take on the Cowboys. I just got a confirmation from Ian Rappaport a couple minutes ago that the Dolphins will be starting Josh Rosen this week. Fitzpatrick takes a seat on the bench now after having 2 terrible weeks against the Patriots and the Ravens. I will take Dak, Zeke, and the Cowboys to get a win at home over the Miami Dolphins. We might only see the starters for one half in this game. I'll take the Cowboys to get it done against the Dolphins.
Did Ian call you?
I got a tweet
okay.
on my Twitter.
Fair enough. All right, well, the Dolphins are horrible. They're probably the worst team in the NFL. Cowboys are going to win this, and they're going to win this handily.
Hashtag taking for Tua. That's what Miami Dolphins are doing right now.
Take it for Tua.
Next up, Joe Flacco and the Broncos heading into Green Bay to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to get another home win. They're 1-0 at home this year, make them 2-0. I'll take Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to get a home win against the winless Broncos.
This is 2 pretty mediocre to below average teams, but since Green Bay's at home, I want to take Green Bay on this one.
Next up, a pair of 1-1s is Natty Ice and the Falcons heading to Naptown to take on Jacoby Brissett and the Indianapolis Colts. This is probably one of the toughest picks of the week for me, but I'm going to take Matty Ice and the Falcons to get a road win in Indy. In a close game, I'll take the Falcons on the road to get a win in Indy against the Colts.
I agree. I think the Falcons just have more offensive weapons. I think they're a better overall team. I think if you had Andrew Luck, it'd be different, but the Falcons get this win.
Next up, probably one of the best games of the day, 1 o'clock on CBS. It'll be the Baltimore Ravens heading in to Kansas City to take on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I'm going to go with Mahomes and the Chiefs at home at Arrowhead. It's tough to win there. I'm going to take the Chiefs at home at Arrowhead to get a win against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
I agree with Scott. This may be the marquee game of the weekend, but I do think the fact that it's in Kansas City gives the Chiefs an advantage. But it's a great offense versus a great defense. Kansas City gets the win.
Next up, the Oakland Raiders heading in to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins and the Vikings to get a home win in Minnesota against Derek Carr and the Raiders.
I agree. I think the Vikings are a quality team. I think Oakland's a below average team. I think the Vikings at home get the win.
Next up, the New York Jets heading into Gillette to take on Tom Brady and the Pats. I will take Brady and the Patriots to get a home win at home against Luke Falk and the Jets.
I don't know what the point spread is on this one, but whatever it is, I would take the Pats and the points. I think they're just going to blow out the Jets. It's going to be ugly.
Next up, Matthew Stafford and the Lions heading in to Philadelphia to take on Carson Wentz and the Eagles. I'm going to go with Carson Wentz and the home Eagles to get a bounce-back win after having a tough loss last week in Atlanta. I'll take the Eagles at home to get a win over Matthew Stafford and the Lions.
I agree. Philadelphia's a better team, plus they're at home. They beat the Lions in this one.
Next up, the Carolina Panthers going in to Phoenix to take on the Arizona Cardinals. Cam Newton hasn't practiced the last 2 days. We'll find out tomorrow if he goes. With or without Cam, I'm taking Kyler Murray and the Cardinals to get a win at home. Kyler Murray finally gets his first win in the NFL. I'll take Kyler Murray and the Cardinals to get a home win against Cam Newton and the Panthers.
I agree. I don't think the Panthers are a very good team this year, and I think at home the Cardinals get the win.
Next up, the New York Giants, led by the second coming of John Elway, Peyton Manning, whatever great quarterback you think of, this guy's the second coming of that, and that is Daniel Jones as he heads in. Based on like 2 preseason games, they think that he's going to be like a phenomenal quarterback, and he's definitely got a gold jacket coming his way. Yeah, okay. As they head into Tampa to take on Jameis Winston and that Red Hot Bucs defense, I'm going to go with Jameis Winston and the Bucs to get a home win at home against the Giants. I'm going to take the Bucs to just barely beat the spread this week. I'll take the Bucs at home over the Giants -6.5. I'll take the Bucs at home to win this game by 10 points.
I'm not going to mock the Giants and Daniel Jones because I think it's bad luck, but I do think the Bucs will win this game. But it'll be close because the Bucs never blow anybody out. It'll probably be a field goal game.
Next up, the Houston Texans heading into LA to take on Phillip Rivers and the Chargers. I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson and the Texans to get a road win in LA against the Chargers. Just that offensive line's just got to step up this week. Deshaun Watson's just not getting any protection out there this week, the first 2 weeks. I'll take the Texans at home on the road in LA against the Chargers.
I'm going to go the other way. I think the Chargers are going to get a win at home. I think Houston's got some problems on offensive line. I think the Chargers are going to get the win here.
Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers heading in to San Francisco to take on Jimmy G and the Niners. Unfortunately, for my buddy Terry Jewell, I'm not going to pick the Steelers this week. I just don't think they're good enough. Mason Rudolph's not great enough. I'm going to take the Niners at home to get a win over Mason Rudolph and the Steelers.
I think the 49ers are a better team. They're playing at home, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have one thing on their side. That's Terry Jewell. So I'm going to take the Steelers in this one.
Next up, the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. Sean Payton said today he's not going to decide who starts the quarterback this week. He said he's going to decide that on Sunday between either Taysom Hill or Teddy Bridgewater. I would go with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks at home in Seattle to get it done against the Saints.
I agree. This is a tough spot for the Saints. You have no breeze. You're on the road against Seattle. Seattle gets the win.
Next up, Sunday Night Football on NBC. It will be the Jared Goff and the Rams heading into Cleveland to take on Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Back-to-back primetime games for the Browns. I'm going to take Jared Goff and the Rams to get it done against the Browns. I'm just not been impressed with how the Browns have been playing this year yet. I do think they'll be better as the season goes on, but right now I'm not as impressed. I'll take the Rams on the road in Cleveland against the Browns.
I'm going to go the other way. I think Cleveland sees this as a statement game. I think the Browns are going to rally and play their best game of the year, and they're going to upset the Rams.
Next up, the Washington Redskins hosting the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football. I said this on YouTube yesterday. I think this game's going to be closer than people think because Mitchell Trubisky does not play well in prime time. People have been calling him Midday Mitch for the last couple of years, and I agree with that. I'll take the Bears out on the road to get a close win in Washington against the Redskins.
Man, neither team has looked very good. I'm actually going to take Washington just because they're at home. I think it's going to be really, really close. I think Washington does upset the Bears.
And that will do it for this episode of Scott Tweeting Sports Daily. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back next week with my college football and NFL predictions. And then the following week, I may have some guests in. We'll see if I'm allowed to do it. We'll see. I'll be back with that if I'm allowed to do it. And I'll be back next week with a new video. And I'll see you guys right back here next week. Always like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I'll see you guys right back here next week on Scott Tweeting Sports right here on YouTube. See you later, guys.
See you guys.
Go Knights!